So when Sun and Pluto meet are in contact, hard contact in particular, conjunction, square, and opposition, and in conjunction. And this is a general. I'm not going to go over each one individually unless I feel like it. It's a general insight upon the contact of someone else's Pluto into someone else's Sun energy. And when those two pair in an aspect, in a heart in particular aspect, there's a very interesting sense of recognition. I do get a sense that this is one of those connections that allows each other to become seen into a different light, a light that exposes both, again, the best and the worst that there is about our sense of identity, because the sun represents identity, it represents ego, it represents our vital force, our creativity, our success, our honor, our pride, what we hold as being our light, our joy in life, what we identify as light and as joy. And so when Pluto hooks with this energy, I feel like this is a very charismatic contact, as both instantly seeing each other a light, an angle, a side to their persona, to their identity as well, that just throws them um, out of anything they have ever seen. It's like this amazing uh, admiration for what they both represent, especially coming from the Pluto person to the Sun, as usually is the Pluto person that has this unconscious, again, drive and desire to take the energy that is being represented by the planet person. So Pluto person usually is very drawn, very attracted, very amazed by the light that is shining naturally from the essence of the sun person. There can be a real interest in what the sun person is all about in the world, because sun represents energy of what's out there in broad light. So what they do in their most natural form is very attractive to the Pluto person. They can have an interest in their creative pursuits, in the style of going over their activities, and this admiration can go, of course, uh, close. It's like there's a thin line here between a very this overly admiration with obsession, and seeing the sun person as someone that they would like to be, but they don't see themselves as capable of being. Especially the more the sun energy and person, the more is emanating in the good, positive vibration, the best possible vibration that the sun energy and what it represents can have, which is all about, again, this immense light and joy, this happiness. And so when Pluto can have some, uh, you know, feel threatened at the same time that they admire, they can feel threatened by all the happiness and all the success and the light and the beauty that is perceived with the sun person, and want that for themselves. So they can have this, um, let's say, morbid, unconscious desire uh, uh, to eclipse some of that sun energy, to have them in a space where that sun energy is more contained. And usually, when things are going in a problematic form or more in a more challenging form within this pairing, usually the sun person ends up feeling drained from actually their vital source, which is the sun. They can feel like something about their personality has become more obscure, heavy, dense, than more in the shadow form than what they used to be. In particular, about the things of the sun and in the energy that they are identify as. Of course, that a sun in Aries and a sun in Virgo or in Sagittarius is going to be different, is what the sun is all about. They can feel like in those areas where they used to be naturally content and happy and good at, they can feel like there's this obscurity that takes over, and with it, of course, insecurities upon their own sense of willpower and ego, and their own ability to smile when this contact is not going well. One of the dangers is also that this can be a relationship that starts with immense happiness, this immense feeling of celebration and rejoicing in each other's company, and then feeling like suddenly, the party is over and you're left with this very empty, lonely, foggy, and scary in this place like a haunted forest of some sorts where you're trying to find your way back to the light, but in order to get there back to your light, there needs to be this reconquering of faith in yourself and confidence, which is what usually somehow the Pluto energy undermines in the Sun person, is making them starting to feel this certain lack of confidence, or this lack of uh, you know pride or nobility, honor again, uh, in themselves, in what they usually identify themselves to be quite good at. This is the part of it that can turn into more on the negative side. I do feel like this is a contact that is meant to transform the way the ego format it has been for the sun person so far. So, and usually ego in the majority of us is not. Usually, we don't have a very healthy and balanced relationship between ego and spirit. So, it could be that either you having a weak ego or a very over again the board ego, those imbalances when in contact with the Pluto energy with your sun, those imbalances are going to be shown to you in a very open and direct form. It's like no longer certain again imbalances or kind of cover ups to hide your insecurities pertaining to things of ego will be easily overcome or done with. It's like this need to readdress and recalibrate things pertaining to all that you identify yourself as being. The sun is an energy that, in my also opinion, is just something that is about what we feel good with, what we feel good at. It's something that's just about feeling good. And so when Pluto contacts here, which is such an energy that can be felt like torment, like a storm, like, feeling like everything is fine now, but any minute, there is a certain um, shakeup that will be about to happen, or some blowout, or some issue coming out of dark corners. It can be very difficult for the sun person to feel just good, just at ease, comfortable as they used to be with themselves and in the world with this Pluto contact. In other ways, uh, the Pluto person is capable to um, regenerate such an amount of energy and trust in what the Sun person can achieve in this life, that when this contact is working positively, those two can be quite, successful in what they set themselves to do as a couple, or as, again, a unity. It's like a very successful pairing where no matter what they are hit with, what problems they are thrown with, the sun always rises, especially when we have this, again, backup of Pluto, which is an energy of regeneration as well, of transformation, regeneration, rebirth, power. It's like giving an already very powerful part of us, which is the sun, even more power with Pluto, and so making this immense ball of fire be the heart of the relationship. So this can be a very, successful pairing when both are meeting in an equal form and not trying to shut down, in a way, each other's light. Pluto feels seen, very acknowledged, very, and the sun as well, but because Pluto is more in the dark energy, they can feel like the sun person is just able to pierce through their dark um, places in ways that are surprising to them, and welcoming, because sun is heat, is warmth, right? So they can feel like the sun energy is warm and welcoming of aspects and attributes of their shadow self that maybe they feel like for the majority of others they can't see and they can't accept about their own selves. There's quite a deal of physical attraction as well upon this contact, because the appearance of the sun through the eyes, the sun person becomes and feels more attractive through, again, the eyes of the Pluto person, and the sun is our part of our appearance as well. It's part of what's visible about us. So the expression of all we are as an essence is most of the times seen through the Pluto energy as you know as a trait in us that is just magnificent. And so this visibility that both of them can have from each other, and this recognition of each other's real power and capability and charisma allows for a lot of fuel. This is one, I feel, of the contacts that can make, you know, this contact be consistently fueled with dynamic energy. Unlike the moon that I will be talking about next, um, this is one contact that can be constantly active. So um, even when those two are having problems, or are away from each other, or are just trying to be more in the silent, frozen state, it might be hard, because there's always this, again, recycling of energy happening that it makes for a very just dynamic energy to be set in place, and so active, very active forces, being fueling and nourishing the contact. And so it's one that can be constantly popping up in our lives and showing up in visible ways, because in the moon contact also shows up, of course, but it's in more unconscious ways, invisible forms, which is exactly the challenge. For the sun is like no hiding places here, and this can be both a blessing and a curse. And also, the attention levels that are brought upon each other is very important. Um, when one part, especially the Pluto, but both of them actually, when one part feels like the other is drawing out the attention, not looking at them the way they want to be seen, this can be where some challenges start to happen, or this can be taken as a serious offense to the pride of each other, especially the sun again. The sun energy can heal the Pluto person through qualities of uh, of what they are about essentially, naturally, what they identify themselves as being their truth. So it can have a very uh, boosting effect, right? It can boost the Pluto person to rise from their, you know, it can have this effect of helping the Pluto person rise from the gutter and understand that all the things that the Pluto person believes belong there just need to stand in the sun. They need light. The Pluto person needs the light to overcome all their insecurities that might be keeping this connection with the sun person from happening the way it should, leveled in a leveled form. So until the Pluto energy, uh, you know, rises above their fear of success, their fear of their within their own identity in the world, issues with success, with ego, with competence, with being active in their pursuits, with being happy, uh, until they stand in the sun together and not take this, because the sun belongs out, right? So this is difficult actually, because the sun naturally belongs out there in the open, and Pluto naturally belongs to the underworld. So again, the sun being in the underworld is as hurtful as for Pluto to come up and face the light, to leave the obscurity where they have made their empire. So both have to compromise, because uh, unlike the moon again, I feel like where the advantage with the moon and the Pluto is that both are comfortable in the darker phase. Both are more, at ease in silent, dark energy. Subtle. The sun is not subtle, and the sun does not hide, not for too long, because it's needed out there. So there's compromise that needs to be made in order to have this powerful, very powerful union to, have the longevity, the quality, the equilibrium that it deserves. Um, Issues of competitiveness and, again, uh, ego, tantrums and feeling hurt in their pride and uh, in the establishment of what they believe they are, for both of them can cause severe problems. It can be that when you have this connected when you have this connection working, you feel amazing with each other. But when it's taken away, or when there starts to just have its, again, darker aspects thrown at each other, it can be very difficult to feel like like the Sun is capable to go back to their show, to go back to the stage and perform, because where is the Pluto? The Pluto person is the only one in the audience that the Sun will want, to feel like they can have thousands of them, but the Pluto needs to be there in order for the Sun person, after this connection, of course, is made, feel like they are the star. They are, ready and capable to perform, right? Um, to perform magnificently. Of course, that this is coming from a perception of the, fuel of energy that Pluto brought to the connection. And Pluto, without Sun, feels like, um, again, a part of them has been eclipsed. A part of them has returned to the shadow. Part of them have lost that flavor of just um, being in this frequency of joy that may most likely the Pluto energy have never felt in such an intense form. So it's difficult to live with and without, because of the opposite kind of elements in what they figure naturally to be, uh, are a little bit different. But once it's, again, working with more harmony, this is the type of power couple or power pairing, in my opinion, just as with Mars. But with Mars, we have a more um, aggressive tone to this. I would say that Mars and Pluto, in contact with Pluto, is more about the achievement, what they can achieve together. What they can do is like nothing can stop that pairing. This two is just like, there's no other love story like this one. There's no other, pair doing and expressing and being as happy as this two when these two want to be that way. Of course, that it's not for all, but it's a very successful pairing. It's a very sexy pairing as well. It's very special. I also wanted to say that it's like both just feel like so special individually and as uh, a shared unity. Is like so special, and that specialty feeling is something that the Sun really enjoys, and the Pluto feels revived from that specialty that the Sun person is able to bring unexpectedly to their lives. So yeah, this is my general take on and insight upon Pluto and Sun contacts, and I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk with each other soon.